So I repeat the aggregate demand function once again. The aggregate demand function is that value of output of goods and services which the entrepreneurs of the country expect to receive at different levels of employment. And it represents the sale receipts from the output. It represents the sale receipts from the output which all the entrepreneurs expect to get. And the aggregate supply function represents the various amounts of money. The aggregate supply function represents the various amounts of money which all the entrepreneurs taken together must get at different levels of employment. Okay. So the aggregate supply price, that is the cost side of the economy, and the aggregate demand is the receipt side. Okay. And the level of employment in the economy will go on rising till the receipts are higher than the costs. Is this clear, girls? Is this fine? The entrepreneurs will find it profitable to provide employment to an increasing number of people if they are earning profits. I think this makes absolute sense, that the entrepreneurs will employ people only if they are making or generating profits. Okay. However, if the costs are higher than the receipts, the entrepreneur will find it difficult to maintain the existing level of employment. So that makes enough sense, because if the costs are more than the receipts, then the entrepreneurs will find it difficult to maintain the existing level. Okay. Now, and in that case, what's going to happen is that they will stop production, and the workers in the industry will become involuntarily unemployed. Okay. So employment, output and income, they go on rising till there is equality of the aggregate supply price and the aggregate demand price. All right. The level of employment after that point will become unsustainable. Okay. So now I'm just going to give you a figure, and then we'll talk about this. So I'll just draw a figure. I'll just go and get my pen first. So just give me 2 minutes, and then I'm going to share it. I'm looking for a scale. Let's see if I can do with this. Mansi, can I set this to you again? Okay. So just send the picture to Mansi and then she will share it with the rest and I do the explanation part. Yeah, so you see this, girls, here you have the aggregate demand schedule, alright. The aggregate demand schedule. On one side you have the level of employment which is in million, okay, and on the other hand you have the expected receipts which are also in million rupees, okay. Now the what you observe here is that in this schedule you see a positive relationship between the volume of employment and the expected proceeds, okay. Just you see the employment is increasing and here you see the expected receipts are also increasing. All right, so but this increase is not proportionate. It doesn't increase as much as the increase in the employment, I mean it is increasing at a diminishing rate. All right, and in the figure below the same thing has been depicted graphically, because on the x-axis you have the employment and on the y-axis you have expected receipts, and ADF curve is the aggregate demand function, which is a increasing function of employment. The receipts increase with the increase in the employment but at a diminishing rate. Is this figure clear, girls? Alright. Yes or no? Are you clear with this table and the graph, the aggregate?
Yes,
fine. So what you observe here is that the slope of the aggregate demand function that goes on declining with the rise in the level of employment. Okay. Then so we say that the aggregate demand increases with the rise in the volume of employment, okay, and it's kind of natural, because as more workers are employed, okay, more output means that the total expected, there'll be more total expected proceeds. Is that fine? So in other words, you could say that the aggregate demand price increases as the volume of employment increases and it decreases with a decrease in the employment. Is this clear? The aggregate demand price increases with increase in the volume of employment and it decreases with a decrease in the employment. Okay, so this is about the aggregate demand schedule, and now we go to the aggregate supply schedule. So I'd again draw the some similar like this. We have a table and then we'll have a graph, and then I'd send it again. Okay. Yeah, I've sent this to Mansi. So the aggregate supply price is actually the minimum amount that the entrepreneurs as a whole wish to get to provide employment to a particular number of workers. Okay. So here the table you have is here. In this table again you get what? The level of employment on one hand, and you have the minimum proceeds on the other hand. So the level of employment, as it is increasing from 10, 20, 30, 40 onwards, the proceeds are also increasing, 100, 200 and so on. And you can look at the graph below. On the x-axis we have the employment or the level of employment, and on the y-axis we have the minimum proceeds. Okay, and the graph that we have here, that is the aggregate supply function. Okay. All right. Ishanvi, Divya, are you people able to get it?
Yes, ma'am, it is clear, but not aggregate supply price.
Aggregate supply
Price.
What is not clear?
Ma'am, kindly repeat the definition.
Okay.
Aggregate supply price.
Okay.
Writing that.
Okay. 1 minute. I just give you the definition. The aggregate supply function, please you can write this. The aggregate supply function represents.
Ma'am, I have written this.
Okay, what I told, the explanatory part. Okay.
The minimum price.
Okay, it is the minimum amount which the entrepreneurs must. It is the minimum amount which the entrepreneurs must get to provide employment. It is the minimum amount which the entrepreneurs must get to provide employment to a particular number of workers. It is the minimum amount which the entrepreneurs as a whole must get to provide employment to a particular number of workers. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Whereas the aggregate demand price, you can continue girls, whereas the aggregate demand price is the expected, the aggregate demand price is the expected proceeds, the aggregate demand price is the expected proceeds or revenue, is the expected proceeds or revenue which the entrepreneurs expect to get, from the sale of output, produced by a particular number of workers. Okay, so you see the difference between the two. Aggregate supply price is what? It is the what the entrepreneur must get from the sale of their output, and aggregate demand price will be what? It is the receipts which they expect to get from the sale of their output. Okay. Now, having discussed the aggregate supply, now if you look at the function, girls, you see that after a point, the curve that we saw, the aggregate supply curve, we saw that it is this curve after a point becomes a straight line, parallel to the y-axis, isn't it? It means it becomes inelastic, is it not? Okay, so this function is basically a 45. It's a 45 straight line, all right, and it slopes from the left to the right. All right. And after a certain while, of course, it becomes parallel to the y-axis, which implies that once the level of full employment is attained, Okay, it is not possible to increase the volume of employment further. All right, so is this clear, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
So, it is a 45-degree line, the slope is 45 degrees. So, after a point you saw, you looked up the figure, then you must have seen and observed that after a point it becomes what? Parallel to the y-axis. And it is actually at that point, once the economy reaches the level of full employment, beyond that you cannot increase any further employment, any further. Okay. Now, another thing that of course we'd like to say is that Keynes considered the aggregate supply function to be relatively stable in the short run. Okay, let's not forget that Keynesian economics is what? It's short run economics. The classical economics was long run economics. So in the Keynes, he actually considered the supply function to be relatively stable in the short run. Okay, and the slope of the supply curve that depends upon the physical and the technical conditions of production. Okay. Now that means it depends upon the productivity of labor, it depends upon the cost of production, I mean the techniques, sorry, not the cost, techniques of production, it depends upon the techniques of production, depends upon the physical resources. Alright, these factors determine the shape of the aggregate supply function. And these are the factors which do not change in the short run. Okay, is that fine? That is why the aggregate supply function, which is shaped by the technological factors, is assumed to be stable compared to the unstable aggregate demand function, which is affected by psychological factors. Fine. You understand why we are saying that the supply function is what? Relatively stable in the short run? Because the supply function depends upon what? It depends upon factors like the technique of production, it depends upon the physical sources, it depends upon the productivity of labor, which according to Keynes are what? They do not change in the short run. Okay. So we've done is we've talked about the aggregate supply function and we've talked about the aggregate demand function, and now we can actually I give you girls another figure and another table and a graph, which again you can be shared. So I'm just about to send you that. I'd again be sending this to Mansi and she'll share it with the rest. And also the graph. So just one more minute. Yeah, I've sent it to Mansi. Yeah. So if you look at this table, girls, here we've got both the aggregate supply price and we've got the aggregate demand. Okay. And then you look at the level of employment. So it's increasing from 10, 20, 30. Again, girls, this is in million. Okay. And the aggregate supply price, that is in million rupees. The aggregate demand price is also million rupees. Okay. So what happens is, we say that the effective demand is, now if you want to write, please write this. Effective demand is that point, effective demand is that point on the aggregate demand curve. It is that point on the aggregate demand curve where it is intersected by the aggregate supply curve. Where it is intersected by the aggregate supply curve. Alright, so effective demand is determined by the intersection of the aggregate demand price and the aggregate supply price. Okay, is this clear? So if you look at this table here, you see that the level of employment is given to us, the aggregate supply price is given to us, and the aggregate demand price is given to us. And if you look at this at 50 million, you have 500 million rupees and you have 500 million rupees. So the aggregate demand and the aggregate supply is equal at what level of employment? At 50 million men, right? So this is the point of effective demand. And if you look at the same thing in the graph below, you have the x-axis, you have employment on the x-axis, then you have the minimum proceeds and the expected receipts on the y-axis. Okay, now you have the aggregate supply function, you have the aggregate demand function. Okay, the two intersect at the point E. Okay, and if you draw this dotted line from E to the x-axis, you get a point which is N2. So ON2 will be the level of employment. So this will be the equilibrium level of employment. Fine. Okay. So you understand the point E, how E is obtained? That is the point where the aggregate demand function and the aggregate supply function intersect, and which means they are equal. So which is at what level? If you look at the table above, where we have this figure of 500 both in the aggregate supply price and the aggregate demand price. Fine. Any concerns or problems here? So E will be known as the point of effective demand, at which point O and 2 amount of labor or workers are employed. Fine. Is this part clear, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, if you look at all the points on the aggregate demand function which are below E, that is to the left side, okay, you see that the receipts are higher than the, uh, I mean, so, oh dear, one of the girls wishes to come in now. Okay, I will get her in first. All right. So what happens is that if you take the point here A, now at the point A, the expected receipts, they are AN1. That is the expected receipts, and the minimum receipts are BN1. Okay. So the entrepreneurs will find it profitable to increase the volume of output, and the volume of employment will also increase from ON1 to ON2. Are you clear with this, girls? See, point E is the point of equilibrium, okay? But if you look at the point A on the aggregate demand function, at the point A, the receipts are how much? AN1. The minimum receipts of the cost aspect is how much? BN1. Receipts are higher than the costs. So it is the beneficial. I mean, the entrepreneur will continue with the process of production, will still increase, and therefore the employment will increase. He'll increase. So from A, the person is going to go towards, try and go towards E. So employment will also increase from ON1 to ON2 level. Is that clear? Ishanvi,
Okay.
Vasundhara, great. Okay. The rest of the girls, is it clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then if you look at the point C,
Yes,
if you look at the point C now here, at point C what happens? Your minimum receipts or your cost aspect is greater than the receipt aspect. Okay. So if you look at your the expected receipts, they are CNF. That is the expected receipts. Okay. And the minimum receipts, they are FNF. Okay, so in such a situation, the entrepreneurs, they incur losses. They do not find it worthwhile to provide employment to ONF workers. So the employment level finally settles at point E, which is the point of effective demand. And it should be noted here that E is not a point of full employment. Okay, E is a point of underemployment equilibrium. Is this part clear? E is a point of equilibrium, no doubt, but E is not the point of full employment equilibrium. It is called underemployment equilibrium. Okay.
ma'am, what is an FNF?
F, 1 second. This is the minimum proceeds. That is the cost aspect. Alright, they are the minimum receipts. And the expected receipts are how much? CNF. Okay. Now at point E, the employment is how much? It's N2. Full employment is at the level NF2, NF. Okay. So there is a possibility of trying to raise employment further. That is why point E is a point of equilibrium, but it is a point of under employment equilibrium. Are you getting this point? Okay, so once again I'll actually explain the graph to you. See, on this graph you have, on the x-axis you have employment, on the y-axis you have minimum proceeds, and you have the expected proceeds. Okay, now you have this curve which is your aggregate supply function here. Then you also have your aggregate demand function which is here. Now the point E here is the point of equilibrium. This is the point where the two curves intersect each other, and this is also the point of effective demand. Okay, so how you define or how do you explain effective demand? You say that effective demand is that point on the aggregate demand function where it is intersected by the aggregate supply function. Is that clear? Okay, then if you look at point A on the aggregate demand function, now point A, at this point AN1, that is the expected receipt. Okay, the expected receipts which are more than BN1. BN1 is what? That is your minimum receipts. Okay, so it is profitable for the entrepreneur to further get into the process of production to increase output, and therefore you see that the employment is also increasing. Okay, So from ON1, you reach ON2, there's an increase, you reach this equilibrium level. But this equilibrium level is not full employment equilibrium level, this is the underemployment equilibrium level. Okay? Because full employment takes place at NF. So there is still scope for the employment to increase. Okay? And that can happen by increasing the aggregate demand. Divya, you want to say something?
Ma'am, can we leave now?
Okay.
11:27.
Okay. So we'll continue in the next class. Fine?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Alright, girls, have a great day.
Same to you, ma'am.
Thank you. वैष्णवी एक मिनट